is really old school, but hey, old school's okay. Yeah, you like it?
I love old school. I run my life with old school.
Nice. So yeah, I don't have to worry about technology glitches when it comes to this kind of presentation.
No batteries, no internet, nothing.
Exactly, right? No chance that it's going to go down suddenly. So we're going to talk about today, obviously, positive strategies for business and marketing that are used by outrageously successful dogs. And I have one here actually in the studio audience. But they're strategies that have been used by outrageously successful dogs and a few empathetic cats. And the strategies are based on success stories, which are also known as case studies. And that's where our expert Geoff comes in. So Geoff, who is an expert and an author, is going to be giving us some more insight into what case studies are and how to use them. And then we're going to focus our energies and expertise on anyone who joins us live who would like us to give them some help with their case studies and or how to use those case studies in their marketing.
We're looking at you, Richard.
Yeah.
Say it again, Geoff. I'm sorry.
I said, we're looking at you right now, Richard.
Yes, I get it.
All right.
Wait, I have to get these other people out of the way.
Well, hang on. I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody for the time being so that we can get our recording. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so after that introduction, I want to also turn it over to Geoff and have him give us his introduction. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Geoff.
Sure. Well, I have a business called Just Case Studies, wrote a book called The Book on Case Studies. And what I do is create video and written case studies for businesses.
Nice. What's your background? Did you just wake up one day and said, case studies?
I did. I was born with an urge to write case studies. It was the weirdest thing. I don't know where it came from, but no, actually I started the business as a freelance writer and just continued evolving it through copywriting, and then figured out that I needed to find a niche, and this was one that needed a filling. So that's what got me here.
That's very important. It really is. We're going to talk about how important it is. So that's great. And you're located in Chicago, right?
Correct.
Okay, cool. And I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. Though I do a lot of work in New York as well on the East Coast. So okay, cool. So now me. Now a little bit about me. As you might have surmised from the title of this webinar, I like to have fun. I really don't want to do it if it's not fun. And I love to, kind of bring creativity, fun, irreverent wit, and inspiration to the things that I do. And that includes keynotes and workshops and working one-on-one with businesses as well. But like many of you, I've had a career that has been multi-layered. So I started, let's say one of my many careers was project manager in the corporate offices of a national retailer. But I've also done stand-up comedy in New York City clubs. I've written over 100 videos, e-learning, and instructor-led learning programs for Fortune 500 companies. And I always go into it with the attitude that if I have to take it, it better be fun. So if I'm going to write it, it's going to have some fun in it. And I've performed on stage, as we started to talk about a little bit beforehand, performed on stage in like over 90 plays on stages across the US in my acting career, which was kind of where I started, and also sold a lot of stuff. So I did national commercials and sold everything from batteries, Duracell to Mattel to pitted prunes. Yeah. So, and the thing about actors and acting is as an actor, you have to step into somebody else's life and circumstances, and you have to be able to see the world through their eyes. And that's one of the things that that I do in my work, is try to step into somebody else's circumstances and help businesses see the blind spots that might be stopping them from really connecting with their customers. And I'm a big promoter of optimism. I don't like to operate from the scarcity mindset that a lot of marketing is in. And I know that there's lots of good reasons for countdown clocks and all that stuff, and that's awesome. But I'm always looking for the optimism and the success, like what we're going to talk about today. And in addition to loving to do all of that, I have a deep, sometimes ridiculously deep love of animals, and especially, you know, dogs. And I'm going to throw this up here. I've got a poll I want everybody to take. So take a second and just answer the poll. It's real quick, yes or no. And it's just, did you have pets as a kid? So it looks like 100% so far have said yes. So that's amazing. And it doesn't surprise me too much, because there's a study done, and in an article that I found on entrepreneur.com, and it said 1 in 4 people said they learned more valuable lessons from having a pet as a kid than they did in their job internship. So it's interesting, the effect of pet parenthood or pet ownership, what that has on us as individuals and also business owners. And the other thing that I found really, really telling is that when they asked C-suite participants about it, 93% of them said that they attributed their success, some of their success, to having a pet as a kid. So there's just a lot that pets bring to our lives. They shape us in so many different ways. And one of the the positive strategies. The first one is that dogs are experts at engaging their intended audience. So the strategy number 1 is connect to who and what is important. And you know, when you're selling directly to consumers, it's easy to remember that they're people. But I find that a lot of times when I'm working with B2B businesses, there's a disconnect in their messaging and their marketing, and they speak to them like a block of people, or just a block. There's a shift that happens where they're like, well, this is a company, so we need to speak like this. And the reality is the company is made up of people, and people love stories. They love brands that tell stories. They love brands that share their successes, and they also love brands that are positive. So I know that you're pretty passionate about something like that, aren't you, Geoff?
Yeah, for sure. I think stories and storytelling are part of our makeup. And, you know, I know this is a little bit kind of off of how we were planning to do this, but as long as we only have, you know, such a small group here today, why don't we start getting some engagement right away? Richard, Niels, would you like to tell a little bit of your stories, what you do, why you're here?
Niels, since I happen to know Geoff and he knows me. I don't know if he knows you, but you're first, Niels. That's how I feel about it, if that's okay.
Okay, well, you're just taking me a bit off guard here.
No worries.
Well, it's all about engagement. It's engagement.
I knew Geoff. I've spoken with him a few months ago. Melinda, I've never met before, so nice to meet you, and nice to meet you, Richard.
Same here.
Well, I what am I doing? I'm a writer and editor, and I am freelancing for a couple of companies and some also some just individuals. I'm slowly growing my business. I have been working as an editor for an American company for about 7 years before I decided to quit, and now it's time to go freelancing. And it was a good decision.
Where are you located, Niels?
Israel.
Israel. Okay.
I was born in Holland, and at some point on a trip here, I met my wife here, and so I at some point stuck around here.
Good.
Yeah, that's quite a story, which I'm also writing down, by the way. So yeah, I'm specializing in case studies as well as an editor rather than a writer. But I hope to start writing them as well. I'm offering them with my company, but until now I'm not really selling them yet. But I'm working for an editing company that specializes in case studies. So I've edited hundreds of them. So that's for a big tech client. So I know a thing or two about case studies, but I would like to hear your point of view and your stories about it. Oh yeah, and I have pets.
What kind of pets do you have, Niels?
Well, maybe I can
Yes.
show them. I don't know if that's gonna work because it is dark here already. Do you see anything or not?
Oh, I see a little something. I see some eyes.
Yeah.
What kind of, is it I can't tell. Is it a dog, a cat?
It's a
Bird?
chicken.
What is it?
Chickens. They're chickens. Maybe
Chickens. Okay. Yes, I started to see like
Wow.
the beak and everything. Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah, there's the
There you go.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yeah. So
See, what happens? They start engaging. Who knew that there'd be chickens in this event today?
I'm telling you, people should have joined just for the surprise guests.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Right?
honestly, really, come
Right.
on.
yeah,
What other webinar can claim that they had a chicken join?
Live chicken show.
Yeah,
Exactly.
How many were they? I think 13.
Wow.
No, 11. Two of them didn't make it through the summer, unfortunately.
Bummer.
And in February they were all still eggs.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Amazing.
So you've raised them all the way through their childhood.
Yeah. Indeed, man. That's so nice. I did not have anything. I before didn't feel anything for chickens, but my wife wanted them and the kids wanted them. So I said, okay, fine. And I guess I love them more than the rest of us now.
That's
And
awesome.
the rest of us do. I don't mean that I love my chickens more than my family, but
No, I get it.
Richard, what's your stance on chickens? You're on mute.
I just had some for lunch, so I like chickens.
There you go.
Very honest answer.
I have construction going on upstairs from us and our neighbor. And if you hear it and it's intrusive, just tell me and I'll shut up and listen to you guys.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
You can, stay on mute if you want until we have,
Well,
moments where we're talking with each other, but
That's what
I
I
don't
did.
hear it so far.
Okay, good. You let me. It's not doing it right now. Of course, doctor. Doesn't hurt right now.
Of
I came to
course.
see you.
That's the way that works.
Yeah. So that's
you
my
want-
stand on chickens. What else would you like to know?
Very good. I think that's all that we need to know about chickens right now.
Yes.
So back to case studies.
All right.
Case studies. Tell the story of your customer. I mean, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, obviously, but when you tell the story of your customer, it helps someone who is considering you put themselves in that person's shoes and also look and see how it might relate to their own business or their life. So you're putting it in the context of someone's life, and that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Case study is a little bit different from other forms of marketing and sales because you're not talking about your business, your product, your service. You are making your customer the hero, and your product or service or what you do for them is just part of their story.
Yeah. Yep. So I think I know the answer to this, but everybody's using case study. That was one of the polls that was coming up, but I don't think I have to launch that one.
Actually, I have one, and I've put it up, so I have used it.
Excellent. Excellent.
Someone
Very nice.
other than Geoff wrote it a year ago, and it
I
wasn't
forgive
bad.
you, Richard. A year ago, I wasn't doing case studies, so I forgive you, Richard.
Thank you, Geoff. And you can come again Friday. That'll be okay.
Awesome. Speaking of which,
Sorry, what was the question?
Richard runs an awesome networking group every Friday that I'm a regular at. If you're free on Fridays, you should really go. It's a really nice group of people.
Thank you. Thank
Very
you.
cool.
I love running it. I love being there. I don't have to run it. I wish Jonathan would come back so he could take some of the facilitation off. Anyhow, back to you, Melinda.
Okay. Well, it actually is a great segue because the next positive strategy is ABC, always be curious. So dogs are curious and playful, and anyone who is 37, 67, whatever age was once 7. And that's an age where we have lots of curiosity. We're open to experimenting and to seeing things in new ways. And anybody who has been a CEO was once 7. So it's really important to remember that the more you can be curious and not shut down those questions about your business, the more successful you'll be. Because as we all know, especially in the last 3 years, things change pretty fast. And what used to be a great customer experience has changed. So there are times that I find when I work with a business that they are still using something that is outdated and used to be something useful for customers, but now is not. So being curious, always experiment with your marketing and your business and be open to that.
You know, and I'll add to that, this is the business plan for my business, which is constantly being updated. And if you open it up, the very first page of my business plan is be curious.
Yes.
Absolutely. Great.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Oh, yes. So that's something though I think we lose track of sometimes in business is especially when we're trying to keep up with things. And if we don't have a team necessarily, or if we have a team that needs us constantly, it's harder to set aside everything and just look at things from a different perspective. So that's great that you remind yourself that every day.
Yep.
It could, if you were an attorney, we could call it a briefcase.
Oh,
there are the jokes. There are the jokes.
Here it comes, ladies and gentlemen. It's a puninar, not a webinar. It's a puninar.
That's right.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The only original humor, and it's a sign of intelligence. Just remember that.
I love it. I love it. All right. And dogs are experts at continuously communicating their message until their audience engages or responds. So if you have a pet, I don't know about chickens, but I know that dogs, cats, especially dogs, they will bring you the ball 1,000 times until you finally throw it, and then they'll bring it back again. And there's a lesson in that for us as business owners and marketers. A lot of times we think, oh, I already put that message out there, or, oh, they're tired of hearing from me, or they don't need to hear it anymore. And the reality is they really do. We really do. We need to hear your message more times than you think, and in different ways. And so there's so many different studies on this, but I've heard everything from 7 times someone has to hear it to 17 times someone has to hear or see your message before they engage. And it also depends on your business. If you have a business where you're selling farm equipment, you're not going to have people engaging every single day. They're going to need it at a certain time. It's a big ticket item. But they still need to hear from you. They still need to see you, not necessarily in an email every day, but they still need to see you. So
and I've actually heard that online that number jumps up to 30 to 50.
Really?
Before there will be engagement potentially, whether that's social media, email, whatever else. So yeah, and that came from someone who is a LinkedIn expert that I know. Mm-hmm. And so I would say, and something that I've kind of, no matter how much doubt I have that, well, geez, I shouldn't send out this, umpteenth email to the person, or, say the same thing over again. Until people say enough already, I think it's perfectly legit to keep sending that message out.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And it's it also goes to something we're going to talk about next, which is the many different ways you can put your message out there, which includes case studies. So, there are a lot of different ways. People learn in different ways. People need to see it and hear it in different ways. So if you think, oh, I sent that email, I don't need to do the post on LinkedIn, or I don't need to do a video or a podcast or any of those things, the answer is wrong. You're wrong. And it feels, I know for myself, like, oh, I don't want to, impose on people. I don't want to, I don't want to feel like I'm spamming somebody. And the only time that you're spamming somebody is when you are sending the same exact message over and over in the same exact way. And and if it's the timing of it, obviously, is also another consideration. And that's going to vary depending on your business. So,
and people learn in different ways also. That's why we do both video and the traditional written text-based case studies, because people like to take in information in different ways. And something I learned through the process of writing the book is that I had people tell me flat out, I will not buy your book unless you make an audio version, because that's the only way that I consume. Yes. So, think about it from that perspective, that everybody does not take in your information the same way. So the more varied you can make your message, the larger the audience you're going to reach.
Right. The vehicle can vary in different ways, the way you're delivering it. And it also reminds me of, there are people who'll say, oh, well, people don't need to hear me say that. Everyone knows XYZ. And the truth is, we do need everyone's voice in it, because there's certain things in certain ways that people will hear your message, and it will impact somebody. And it might be the same. You might be preaching, you need to network, right? So something as basic as that. And somebody will be like, yeah. But when you talk about it, let's just say, when I say, dogs are great networkers, for me, I would perk right up, because that's my jam, right? But if I thought, oh, I don't really need to talk about that, or everybody knows that, it's not necessarily true. When somebody sees or hears it from your perspective, it can truly impact them and make a difference.
It's really fascinating. What popped into my head is, I cannot tell my wife I love you too much.
Oh,
There's just no way to say it too often, or too much. I ask her every day, have I told you today I love you? And there are days she says, no, you haven't. I said, oh my God, I'll fix that.
Oh,
Love you.
wow, that is so sweet.
So it took me 3 times to learn what's right. I mean, but I finally got it.
Yeah.
And in the work that I do with my clients, we use 5 learning methods because of what you're talking about here. Everyone learns differently.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
they listen differently.
exactly. Yes, they do. They really do. And for some people, if the only thing you do is put something out in print, you're missing an audience. You're cutting yourself off from a lot of people who have to see it. They have to see something visual, and not just words. They have to see a concept somehow come to life. So
Richard,
yeah,
that sounds like you have a good idea for a book there. Something about the secrets to a successful marriage and business all in one.
Okay. You want to
There
be
you
my
go.
ghostwriter?
Sure, let's figure it out.
You have to
Now,
settle for a percentage of the earnings. No
Of
upfront
course.
money. Sorry, no signing bonus.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, there's a lot of potential in that one though, because a lot of people will are interested in knowing the secrets.
Yeah, okay. Why
Very
not?
good.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to write it down.
Okay. Good. Yeah. In your free time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I might get a laugh out of that one. So dogs are experts at being memorable, because you can meet a dog is a dog until you meet them. It's the dog that you meet, their personality, the way they interact with you. Those are all things that make them unique and memorable. And the same is true for your business. You can be in a business, in a field where there's lots and lots of competition, and the difference is going to be what you bring to your business. And if you don't show that or have some way of conveying that in your marketing, you're going to be lost in that sea of sameness. And a case study, I feel like, is something that can make you stand out, because it is, I think, in some cases, and Geoff, you'll have to tell me what your experience has been. There are some cases where people will say, well, it's just too complicated. I'm going to do a case study, but no, that's too complicated, or we don't have someone who's capable of doing it. Like, what do you say to somebody who says that?
That's a great question. And I think there is this perception of them being these highly technical things that are complicated and maybe beyond the scope of what is in a business's capabilities. But really all it takes is one customer that got a successful result because you helped them get there. And then you've got a story to tell. And then it's just getting them to tell that story and then sharing that story with other people. That's all it really comes down to.
Yeah. Do you have some, I'd really like you to talk about some ways to organize that information. Do you have questions that you use, that you ask when you're writing case studies, that help to draw out those stories? Sure.
We take kind of the hero's journey approach to case studies where the customer is the hero of the story. And so you want to ask questions where you can kind of develop the character in the beginning. Who are you? What is your business? What kind of stuff do you do for people? How long have you been doing it? So you kind of establish the business as the character, or the case study subject as the character of the story. Then the next piece is, well, what was the situation? Did you have an obstacle, or did you have an opportunity? What got you looking for this solution? So that kind of presents the conflict of the story, right? Then they go on this journey with you, the business owner, and the solution you provide to get them to their desired result. And that's the product or service you provided. What does that look like? What are the steps in that process? Is there one-on-one? Is there just electronic pieces, so it kind of paints a picture of what it looks like to be on that journey with you and your business. And then of course there's the results section of having applied that solution. What was the resolution? What did you get out of it? Did you get more visitors to your website? Did you get more profits? Did you get more visibility online? Whatever those great results that you got from that solution. And then, of course, you want to end with a call to action to the effect of, hey, if you have a business like this or a situation, or you're looking for this kind of solution or these kind of results, then here's how you get a hold of us. So it just it's that you want to ask questions that will allow that customer of yours to tell that story of how they went from where they were to where they wanted to be because of your help.
What do you do when I've had a case where I've recommended a case study to a client and their response is, we can't do that. Our customers won't speak, won't go on record. We can't name a name, or we can't name a company. How do you get around that? What do you usually tell people to do when it's that sort of situation? How do they create a case study?
Sure. There are times when there are things like NDAs that come into play, or if there's financial stuff, people maybe don't want necessarily to be put into the spotlight, where maybe you had a company that was in bad financial shape and this company helped you get out into, out of the red or that sort of thing, because it's kind of maybe feel like it'd be embarrassing for your company because you were in this bad spot. So in those situations, you can still tell those stories. And what you can do is you can anonymize the client. They're not necessarily as powerful as having the ability to name the person or the business that you helped, but you can still tell those stories without naming your client. And those are still better than nothing, but they're more effective when you can actually say, we helped IBM, or we helped Nike, rather than we helped this struggling company get out of the red. So it's still an effective tool, but it's a matter of degree, I think. Sure.
Well, I always encourage them to be specific about the industry of the client. So, instead of saying we help this national company do XYZ, this national retailer, this national finance company, but give some sort of context to it so that people can say, oh, well, yeah, that's me too. We have a finance company, or we are retail.
Right.
How do you deal? May I ask a question there? Or
yes,
please.
Here, from what I saw on the LinkedIn invite page, 55 people signed up for this thing today.
Yes.
How would you use a case study to turn that around? Melinda raised her hand.
I'll give my take first. Geoff, you talk about it first.
How would I do a case study? Sure. Well, I guess I'd start with what would be the goal of the case study? What am I trying to achieve by telling the story? Because that kind of drives the plot of the story. So, and then assess the audience. Who is my audience? Who am I telling the story to? What I hope to get from this audience. So, I guess I'd ask you, Richard, why would I be doing a case study about this?
I don't know. It's your webinar, not mine. I'm asking you how to address it.
Okay. Well,
it's not an easy one.
It isn't. I mean, there's always a story to be told. But again, I'd have to think about what the goal of the story would be. I mean, because I could tell the story of how, Melinda and I met and we decided to work together, and we decided to that we'd start doing programs online to share our wisdom in marketing strategy for her, and storytelling and case studies for myself. And part of that process was marketing the event. And the way that we went about it is that I sent out invitations to about 1,000 of my best friends, and 2 of them decided to show up. And so perhaps in the future, I'll send it out to all 2,500 of my friends and see if 4 of them show up.
All right. Can I jump in?
Please.
Okay. So I think it also goes to, there's a couple things. The event itself is what's important. So us putting out the information, us sharing this information is more important than how many people attend, because this event is going to live on. So if it was a live event, period, no video, no nothing, yeah, that's a disappointment. But this video is a great example of how you repurpose. So, this video people who couldn't make it live are showing interest that they want to hear about this. So it's a success in that we know that over 50 people are interested in this topic, and that we can share this recording with them and help them with their businesses that way on their own time. That's also something that the value of a webinar or value of a live event on video is truly after the event. It's the reach that it gets afterwards, the people that are able to access it in their own time. That's really where it's valuable.
So the residuals.
And
The
that's why
residuals.
Melinda is the marketing strategist, and I'm just a storyteller.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. This is for, for us and for people out there. This is an asset now, right? This is something someone can access.
That's
when
right.
they, at midnight, when they're like, what the hell am I going to do? This is just one other, piece of content that they can access that will give them some ideas and some insight. And I've always said, and I said this to Geoff from the beginning, what we need to do, and this is show up and give our best stuff.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter who else shows up, because like I said, it's going to live on. And it's interesting because it's really the way I used to approach auditions. I would do 50, maybe not 50, 25 auditions, and then book, 4 or book 1. So that's a lot of putting yourself out there. And I could never go into an audition and go, oh, I hope I get a call back. Oh, I hope I get the job. I started approaching every single audition as, this is the job. This is it. This is the show. This is the commercial. This is whatever. I need to go in there today, right now, and do my very, very best, because this is what I have. And if they call me back, awesome. But I'm going to go in there and this is going to be the show for me.
Interesting. This particular turn of events, no pun intended there at all. we're really not. Where 55 or 5,500 people show up or sign up.
Mm-hmm.
50. Now, I don't know if this is helping. I'm a volunteer with SCORE, which is a volunteer organization. And I do once a quarter or maybe 5 times a year, I do a B2B sales workshop online. It used to be live, then COVID fixed that. So now it's online. And they were getting 100, 120 people were signing up, and maybe 40 showed up. Now, because it's been, I guess, 3 years that I'm doing this same thing now, and I get rave reviews every time, of course, and I do. That, or they wouldn't keep me on. They get maybe 40, but 25 out of 40 show up. So it's a much better response. And what's happened is they've learned over people, the SCORE clients have learned over time, what do they really want to see? Because it's valuable to go to a SCORE workshop, not just mine. It's done well, it's planned out, you'll get results. So the word spreads. Mm-hmm. And I think the same is true here with these LinkedIn events. It's when you put the first one out, and then the next one, a few more, and it just grows.
Right.
That's how it is. Yeah. And what is the case study around that to help someone not give up the first time? That's really the question I'm asking.
And I think my answer is that success looks different for everybody. And so success for the case study I would build around this is it was a successful delivery of content.
Okay.
If our job was we got to put butts in seats and we're going to make dollars for everybody who comes, yeah, that's
a problem.
then this would not be a good example, right? This would be, yeah, this wasn't a good, this didn't do well. We need to change how we promote it, what we're offering. Who knows? There's lots of different variables, but for me personally, the success of it was, did I show up? Did I give my best? And is there something that people can take away from it? And so I don't call this, I think, again, it goes back to perspective.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not a wash. I mean, this is great. And as you say, the residual, the video, and the fact that I'm going to tell somebody about this. And I know that Neil's is going to spread the word in Tel Aviv, and Haifa,
that's right. It's
and on the
global.
West Bank too. I mean, he's really going
global.
to spread the word over there.
That's right.
Well, and the value for us is we can take this video. So this is now moving into kind of how do you take a case study and use it 10 different ways.
Yeah.
So you don't just put a case study out there, bam, here's 10,000 words. You can chop that up into, installments. So this week, so an email series that is, 5 weeks long, that every week is going to show you a different part of that case study. Or a video like this can be made into a blog. It can be chopped up and made into little 1-minute videos. It can be, it just goes on and on. So it's an asset, I think, is what you have to look at it as. Is if you brought your best stuff, then it's going to be something that you can use in a lot of different ways.
And one of my favorite business stories is the ketchup story. If anyone has ever had Heinz 57 sauce, that means they failed 56 times before they got it right.
Yeah, and
So,
Edison failed 999 times, and the 1,000th time he got it right. Yeah,
exactly. And no, this is great. I've never done one of these. Melinda has a little more experience with this. We're going to do more of these. And as long as we're putting value and quality into these, people are going to show up, because like Richard said, he may tell somebody. Neil is going to bring all of Israel next time, of course.
All of Israel, that's right.
wait a minute, we don't want it all. No, it's too much.
Why not? Come on, bring all of
All right,
Israel.
bring them all.
And the chickens, please.
And the chickens. That's right. So
The
I
chickens,
think,
I definitely bring it.
what did you say?
The chickens will be there, definitely.
For
Yes.
sure.
Yes, that'll be part of the title next time.
This makes me. I'm wondering about something.
Yes.
Like I, as an editor, I'm sort of a bit in some sort of a cookie cutter mode. When I'm working on case studies, I'm working in really a fixed structure, like the story that you're just telling about. The hero journey. And this is what we're having here is not exactly a story as we begin with a problem and then we have some sort of a mentorship towards a solution. So how would you structure a story like this?
I like the
Well, I think the actual content of the conversation we're having is not the story in itself. I think the actual event is only one element of the bigger story.
And the bigger story is ...
is that we created this thing out of nothing, and we're having a great conversation. There's an exchange of value, and everyone is benefiting, and that makes it a worthwhile event that is worth doing again.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. I just thought of another way you could use a case study. You could create a comic book strip out of it. So, this might be something to think about. Like, we were talking about everybody needs different ways, needs to see it in different ways. It could be a comic book, depending on what the topic is or who the, client is. And actually, in some ways, if you put it into a graphic setting like that, that kind of helps with anybody who has an issue with being spotlighted. And it helps you as the business or you as the writer frame it in a way where it could be a little more dynamic, because you can use kind of avatars and so forth to represent the hero.
For sure.
True.
It's interesting.
It's a thought.
Right.
It's an idea. I'd like to see it.
Well,
Yeah.
who's the graphic designer here? Not me.
I'll call my buddy over at Marvel
Yeah,
Studios.
it's definitely not me. Okay, just saying.
Watch out for Avengers Part 55, the case
Right.
study.
The case study, revenge of the case study. So, I don't think I have, anything more to add. Is there anything that you want to add, Geoff, or do Niels or Richard want to have us talk about their businesses? Is there anything that we can help you with?
Well, it's
Yeah,
go ahead,
go ahead, Richard.
Geoff, you're first. Age before beauty. Younger
Fair
age
enough.
before beauty.
All right, not that far behind you.
Oh, you're not. Huh? Okay.
I'm trying to catch up. I'm working on it.
I'm waiting right here. I'm at 85 and I'm waiting.
You're gonna hold in a holding pattern?
I'm a holding pattern.
Normally I would say, just people should realize the value of case studies and use them more than they are, but I feel like I'd be kind of preaching to the choir. I think everybody here knows the value and realizes the value. So, I guess the only question is there anything that you don't know that maybe I could answer?
What would be your an expectation if anyone, me or Niels or anyone, decides to begin using case studies and they make a bad choice, and which could happen? This is a negative approach. My wife would say, "Who are you?" Because I'm the optimist in the house. But if I made a bad choice of topic and it fell flat, and I got eggs from his chickens thrown at me on stage when it was presented, how can we use that perhaps, or how do you recover from that kind of thing, staying consistent, or just create another case study and try it again?
Yeah, I think it goes to that idea of failing is not falling down, failing is not getting back up. So
Right.
you anything you can look at and you can learn from, you can make improvements and advance. I think that's the benefit. I mean, I think there's benefit in not finding the exact success you're looking for, because there are lessons to be learned there.
So
And I would also, go ahead.
case studies are proven methodology, and
Yes.
therefore it would make sense to analyze what happened. Was it the choice of topic or customer or outcome that was the error in judgment? And that doesn't negate the value of case studies as a marketing tool or a credibility tool. So therefore, just pick a different one, rewrite it, get a different writer, and or however that works, and try it again. If one believes that case studies are a solid, valuable tool. Does that make sense? Does that?
Yeah, I'd say once you've published a case study and it falls flat and whatever, people will also forget about it. You know, it's especially in this day and age where everything goes fast and you're seeing like a billion different ads and a billion different Facebook posts and whatever every day. A case study that didn't work, people have forgotten it after a day, I think.
Good point. Thank you.
And so I think the other way around, if you have a very successful case study, one that really thrilled the audience, and they might remember it. But I think when you write something completely stupid, I think they tend to forget it.
I think, yeah, I have questions about what is it. That's a lot of pressure to put on a case study. That's all I'm going to say. Like, I have people go, well, I sent an email out and I got no responses. And I'm like, well, that's a lot of pressure on an email.
Yeah.
So this is why we talk about, there is no one vehicle that you should be using. Like, you should not be using just a case study or just social media, you know? Yeah. So then I would say that. And I would also say that what makes it a success or failure? So what do you, when you say that it flopped, what are you referring to? What did you have in mind?
The picture I had was that I got no response from it at all, neither good nor bad. And as Barnum said, any publicity is better than no publicity, or bad publicity is better than no publicity. Because no response, when I work with a client and I ask a question or throw a concept out and I hear silence, I say, silence does not mean assent. Answer the question. Do you agree or disagree? Because silence doesn't convey anything. Nothing. In my book, you have to get something.
True. But I will also point to what I call lurkers on social media. There have been many occasions when I have been posting for a long, long time, and out of the blue, someone will say, I've been watching and reading your stuff for months.
Yeah.
And my first question is, who are you again?
Yeah. No, my first thought would be, thank you.
Yeah.
There you go. But just because people aren't responding in a way that is visible to you doesn't mean that your message is not getting through.
True. Thank you for that. It's true.
That's why you can't, you should not put so much pressure on any one thing, and also, you know, assume that someone is A, going to remember, or B, doesn't care. You know, those are assumptions that dogs don't make. They assume you want to play no matter what, and they come back and ask you again and again. So
and maybe we are also feeling way too important sometimes, you know. Like, for us, the world kind of revolves around us, you know. And that's
doesn't it? I mean,
not necessarily the case for the rest of the.
That's right.
I love that, Niels. That is so brilliant. Yes, yes. And we're not the only ones putting out content that day or that minute or that second. And I don't know about you guys, but I get emails from people. I don't always respond to. Well, I do if it's a direct email, but if it's just, if it's a weekly email from someone, I don't necessarily take action until I need to, or till I want to. And and that doesn't mean that your email was not appreciated or was not read. It doesn't, and so I think that it goes back to something I put in my notes for this webinar that I say all the time to clients. It's not about you. It's not and people aren't going to do things on your timetable. They're going to do it on their timetable.
You are absolutely right. Yesterday, I put up a thing about my purpose and my mission at 10 o'clock. And at 12 o'clock, I took it down. Who gives a crap about my purpose and my mission? Cold, just out there on LinkedIn. I need to ask them, are you clear on your purpose? Do you know what your mission is? Here's my link for my calendar. Let's talk about it, or something like that. it was very arrogant of me to think that anyone gives a crap about what my purpose is. Cold, just cold.
Well, I also goes back to your expectations. So if you're expecting someone to respond to that, then you've got to ask them a question. You can say that, you can put that out there, and you can say, what do you think? Or tell me yours. But you know, you have to also, it goes back to that assumption, right? We assume everybody's reading our minds and they know exactly what we mean. And then it's so shocking when people don't. And I think it's about assumptions, expectations, all that jazz.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Yes.
I guess you do too.
All right.
I guess.
Yes, we do. We do. We want to wrap it up. Nils, thank
Yeah.
you so much for joining. Do you have anything you want to add? What are you taking away from today?
Well, something valuable that I've learned is the different approaches to case studies and customer success stories. Like I said, I'm somewhat stuck in this cookie cutter format, you know, which is in a way good because it works. It is really proven to work. And when I'm developmental editing, it's I'm always pointing out to the writers, like, get that format right, so that it will read and like a good story from beginning, middle, end. And it takes the reader really through this in a way emotional experience, you could say. Even when it is somewhat technical, and the timeline, etc. That's hearing about the different approaches, like also using videos, maybe some sort of a drip email kind of thing, different blogs. Well, it gives me something to think about.
That's the whole idea.
That's great. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great.
You,
I also love, like, the cinematic version of that is give us the ending first and then flashback, right? So yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you both for coming today and for
see you
part
tomorrow
of this conversation.
And by the way, I put the link for my tomorrow morning meeting right in the chat if anybody wants it.
Terrific.
It's always a good time.
Love to see
All right.
you. Bye.
Terrific. Thank you guys so much. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Good evening.
Thanks, Niels.
Good night.
Chicken.